The 7th episode of Marvel's WandaVision, Breaking the Fourth Wall, somehow manages to be even more chaotic than what's come before. Here's how far we are down the WandaVision rabbit hole by the end of its 7th episode, and where it could lead us from here. Breaking the Fourth Wall puts a Modern Family and The Office-inspired spin on WandaVision, complete with candid interviews with the cast. But behind the playfulness, there's a certain uneasiness in the air. After last week's boundary-pushing affair, Wanda elects to engage in a quarantine-style staycation, largely ignoring that certain pieces of furniture in her home are shifting from era to era. Also, Wanda's telepathic son Billy is having problems with his mind. He says it's really noisy in there, but she writes him off and leaves her boys with Agnes for the day, and doesn't seem all that bothered that her husband Vision is still missing.
Do you want to go look for him?
Well, if he doesn't want to be here, there's nothing I can do about it.
There's a lot to make of Wanda's subdued mental break in this episode, especially in relation to her unruly surroundings. Now that the borders of her spell have expanded even further and have even been strengthened, she's pushed her reality warping abilities harder than ever before. One would imagine that this test of her mental limits is exhausting and is likely causing her world to shift and change outside of her control. Not only that, but Wanda seems highly uninterested in maintaining her perfect illusion, going as far to admit to her sons that their Uncle Pietro wasn't actually related to them, and pawning them off onto her neighbor just to get herself back in check. If Wanda can't get her abilities under control soon, the consequences could prove catastrophic. Shifting back outside the Hex, we receive an update on S.W.O.R.D's efforts to break in, and they're not planning to politely knock on the front door. Director Hayward isn't even considering reasoning with Wanda and is prepared to unleash a full arsenal to annihilate her illusion if he must, much to the dismay of Agent Wu and Captain Rambeau. Thanks to Darcy Lewis's hacking skills, they're able to access Hayward's classified information about his true intentions for Westview, why he's so gung-ho to obliterate it, and what he hopes to gain from doing so. Hayward's plan is known as Project Cataract, and Vision is firmly at the center of it. As we know, after Thanos killed Vision in Avengers Infinity War, S.W.O.R.D recovered Vision's corpse and began studying it for mysterious purposes. Apparently, Hayward wanted to bring Vision back to life, likely as some kind of weapon for the organization's use. He didn't think it was possible until Wanda made it happen, which explains why the shifty bureaucrat was so dead set on keeping an eye on the reanimated synthezoid. What other details may hide underneath the surface of Project Cataract remain to be seen, but it's pretty much a given that the next 2 WandaVision episodes will provide some clarification. After being immersed in Wanda's Hex in the closing moments of Episode 6, Darcy Lewis is now firmly within its grasp in Episode 7. Taking on the occupation of an escape artist with the local circus, she has no idea who she, Vision, Wanda, or anyone is, or that she's under someone else's influence. Thankfully, Vision awakens Darcy from the trance, allowing her to see what's really going on. The duo hijack the circus's funnel cake truck and hit the road, finally giving Vision a chance to figure out what's actually happening. Over the course of their brief yet insightful road trip, Darcy lays everything out for Vision. She explains his origins as Ultron's tool for world domination and details his 2 deaths to him in explicit detail, filling the gaps in his memory. Vision plans to go home ASAP, but he and Darcy encounter roadblock after roadblock, which he suspects is Wanda's efforts to slow him down. In the end, he comes to the realization that maintaining this sitcom-esque pretext is irrelevant, and he simply flies away, leaving Darcy to drive the rest of the way back to the house. Spearheading an operation of her own to help Wanda evade Director Hayward's wrath, Captain Monica Rambeau prepares to re-enter the Hex by any means necessary. In doing so, just as Darcy Lewis warned in prior episodes, the barrier has altered Monica's physiology. Of course, the effects seem pretty positive by MCU standards. She comes out the other side with glowing eyes, a resistance to the Hex's effects, and some as yet undefined superpowers. To longtime Marvel Comics readers, this is a clear sign that Monica is on the fast track to superheroism. On the page, Monica has gone by the names Photon, Spectrum, Pulsar, and even Captain Marvel, utilizing energy-based abilities to fight for good. This is teased during her standoff with Wanda inside of the Hex. Holding Monica up with her powers, Wanda throws her to the ground, and Monica uses her newfound powers to stick the landing, with a brief blue glow. Before their confrontation can continue though, Agnes swings by and escorts Wanda away. The closing moments of Breaking the Fourth Wall appear to reveal what many fans have theorized for a while, that Agnes was the one pulling the strings all along. In fact, her name isn't even Agnes. She's actually a witch named Agatha Harkness, who has influenced Westview and its residents from the moment she arrived. From bringing the fake Pietro to Westview, to killing Sparky the dog, Agatha has seemingly done it all.
The devil's in the details, Bev.
That's not the only place he is.
Many fans guessed that Agatha Harkness was Agnes's true identity, looking back at the character's history in the Marvel Comics, from her tenure as a Fantastic Four villain to her time as Wanda's mentor, for evidence to back up their theories. Let's not forget that in the comics, Agatha ends up zapping away some of Wanda's memory in a bid to help her move on from the trauma of learning that Billy and Tommy aren't completely real. Could something similar happen in WandaVision, where Agatha is the key to a reset of everything if Wanda is unable or unwilling to let Westview go? In the post-credit scene of Breaking the Fourth Wall, the imposter Pietro confronts Monica for snooping around Agnes's home. This may seem like a bad omen for the next episode, with Agatha seemingly primed to become a major player in the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. Unlike previous WandaVision commercials, this week's isn't exactly subtle in its messaging. An antidepressant ad clearly represents Wanda's ongoing mental struggles, and how she chose to try to overcome them with her hex around Westview.
Nexus. Because the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it?
Of course, the name Nexus holds special meaning for longtime Marvel Comics readers. For one thing, the nexus of all realities is where all the various alternate dimensions of the Marvel Universe intersect. And given what we've seen on the show so far, the comic book accurate Halloween costumes for Wanda's family, the arrival of a Pietro from Fox's neighboring Marvel Cinematic Reality, it's entirely possible that Nexus is more than just a wink and a nod to something in the comics. In the Avengers West Coast comics, it's ultimately revealed that Wanda is being manipulated by Immortus, an immortal being and timeline manipulator hellbent on becoming the absolute master of time. He's the future self of Kang the Conqueror, a time-traveling villain who battled the Avengers early on in the original comics. This relates to WandaVision in general, and to the Nexus antidepressant commercial, specifically because Wanda in the comics is a Nexus being, a person who exists in all realities in the multiverse. So, through her, Immortus can control the timelines of every multiverse simultaneously. The person who ultimately saves Wanda in the comics is her mentor, Agatha Harkness, causing the Timekeepers from the Time Variance Authority, or TVA, to show up and shut Immortus down. We got a peek at the TVA in the trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus series Loki.
How long have you been here? I don't know, it's hard to say. Time passes differently here in the TVA. What does that mean? You'll catch up.
Is Immortus, or his younger self, Kang the Conqueror, the next Thanos-level villain in the MCU? Is this week's Agatha All Along reveal just a clever misdirect? Is Agatha actually under someone else's spell? Kang is set to appear in 2022's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, played by Lovecraft Country's Jonathan Majors, so we might just be getting a sneak peek via WandaVision. And we know Marvel is going to the multiverse in the upcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, naturally, as well as in Spider-Man 3. How does it all connect to WandaVision? Time will tell. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about WandaVision are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.